be the three always of online marketing. I like that image. It really sets up the like, hey, it's all set in stone, and that you got the, like the commandments, you know what I mean? Those rules that you need to follow. And I think there are things like that in marketing because yes, that's a always changing space, but there is also principles that will always be true, and that's what I loved about it. Before, I thought it was really like a space where you really have to understand what's happening on a day-to-day basis. If not, you're going to basically be irrelevant and not being able to use what's happening. Because I was at the mercy of the people that were selling their programs of, hey, I do that thing, it's working now, but hey, 2 months later, it's not the thing anymore. So, hey, you're pretty much with a few less dollars in your bank account with something that doesn't work. So you're, yes, not in a good place. And the thing is, I didn't realize for a long time that there were principles that were set in stone, marketing principles that were already working with the guys that were making newspaper ads. And it still works. And I really understand the perspective of like social media. In the future, we're going to have the metaverse. Like it's going to be another way. People are going to find a way to advertise and to make marketing on that web 3.0 that's coming. Thing is, I'm not worried because the platform, listen to what I'm going to say because it's extremely important for you to understand that. If you understand that, you are never going to have problems with marketing on any platforms again. Remember that. The platform changes, but the strategies stays the same. The platform changes, but the strategies always will be the same. I'm using the same strategies that guys that were doing newspapers in like the 1940s were using. And they are working, those are the ones that are working incredibly well and that you can scale because if you have a tactic that's working for 2 weeks, you cannot scale that. You cannot use that to grab a lot of power, a lot of income, grab a half a lot of people. You cannot do that because you don't have the time. You have to have processes that were set in stone. And then maybe you can open a trend or two. That's not what I'm saying. If you can grab a bit of market share, a bit of views like that, of course, I'm taking it and I'm sure you do as well. But the thing is, your processes and the way you operate should be based on set in stone principles on always. And that's a great segue to talk about those always. Let's get after it and see what those always are. Always number one, always have a clear and simple process. A clear and simple process. What does that mean? Well, I said it a few times in the live today. A confused mind never takes actions. So if you do not have a simple process and you don't make it as simple as possible, you're first going to confuse people. Plus, second, people are lazy today. Like for real, like you are lazy to click on the button on Instagram, and that's maybe the only reason why you're not getting traffic because you make it too complicated for people. It has to be simple. That's why sales pages, landing pages are way better conversion-wise than websites. Because a website, you have a lot of options and people are like, oh, I don't want to click in that link. I'm going to go do something else, watch cat videos or dog videos, funny dog videos, you know. But if you're on a landing page, you only have that choice. Simple, just follow the steps. Yeah, but the more you can guide them through your process, the more simple it is, the easier it's going to be. And the more you can guide them through process. And basically you take them and automatically, it's like you put them on a treadmill and they go without even thinking about it. Like, oh, I'm clicking here. Okay, I'm clicking here. I'm clicking here. And they're going through the steps, but they don't even think about it. They don't even have a stop second, like, should I take action here? It has to be a simple, seamless process. So the simpler you're going to make it, the better. Now, let's go into the always number two. Always number two is always get that information. That goes back to the fact that I talked about before, which is always make sure you capture the traffic that you can get and make it your own. Because if you don't do that, you're going to be at the mercy of Facebook ads working or not working. Oh, Facebook is down. And that happens a few times. Maybe you can remember the times where Facebook or Instagram went down. And for example, just yesterday I was hacked on Instagram and I got it back. I battled for for quite some time. I battled for yes about 3-6 hours to get that guy that was in Nigeria to get back my account back. But the thing is, hey, you realize that you're very dependent on these things, you know what I mean? Oh, you are very dependent. And when you don't have it, you're like, oh, I don't have my customers I can talk to, I don't have the people, I cannot show my brand, my message. And one of the reasons is because, hey, I need to build a list, a bigger list. Because if I got the email list, hey, hack my Instagram account, man, I'm going to send an email. I'm going to have the money to pay back. The hacker that's going to hack you back to get your account back. You know what I mean? So that's the reason why you should always make sure that you get the informations. Find ways, landing pages, squeeze pages. We talked about that in the previous episode number 6 of Marketing Commandos. You can watch that. How to do pages that capture the info and to make sure you get tons of leads and you build your email list. You have to go and watch that as well if you want to go deeper on that. Let's go to the next. Always number 3 is always be promoting. Always be promoting. That's incredibly important. I learned that from Grant Cardone, which is one of the main rules, one of the main always that he talks about when he talks about marketing. And that's really important to always be promoting, because you may feel at some point like, oh, I'm too salesy, I'm promoting myself too much. But hey, remember, best known always beats best. Best known always beats best. Let's look at Conor McGregor, for example. He's a great example of that. The guy may not be the greatest fighter. He's not the greatest fighter. I'm not into the UFC that much, but I'm in it enough to know that he's not the greatest fighter. There are people that are way better than him, but he's the one that's the most known, and he's actually the highest paid athlete on the world. Best known always beats best. And that's the exact same thing with your product. You may have the perfect product, the perfect little down landing page, but if you do not have anybody that goes on your page or anybody that buys a product, well, I'm not saying don't make your product great. They should be great. That should be a standard. But you have to make sure that you're aggressively promoting on the other end. Make sure that you are always promoting. Next one, because I like to go and throw some bonuses at you. You know me, maybe by now, after 7 episodes of Marketing Commandos, you know that I like to give you some bonuses. And the bonus always I've got for you is always being omnipresent. What does that mean, omnipresent? What I mean by that is it's more on the branding side. You have to always be omnipresent, because omnipresence means for me, and in the case of online marketing, that whenever a customer thinks about you, thinks about something that related to you, they have to think about you, because they don't even control about it. And that happened to me actually at Christmas. And my parents were like, hey, we want to buy earbuds for your brother. Like, what do you recommend? Because I'm kind of the techie guy, And I was thinking about it, because I was like, hey, maybe I can go with first, hey, always beat or best known always beats best. I thought about, hey, Samsung, Apple, like AirPods. Of course, because they're the best known. I thought about that, but I was like, hey, yeah, maybe we can go with something that's a bit lower in price. I was like, okay. So then I thought about it, and I was like, I don't really know like a good low middle end earbuds. I was thinking about it. I was like, what's a good earbud? And I didn't look at review or things like that, but I remembered a brand that I've seen at the time. I was watching a lot of Corridor Digital. Those guys, I don't know if you know those guys, like really like filmmakers and kind of that kind of content, and they were promoted a lot by Raycon. Raycon is a brand of earbuds, and I was like, well, I remember they are like pretty great price point, and that's the thing. I thought about them because they were omnipresent in my mind. So let's say you're a plumber, for example. You have to make sure that when people have a problem with their sink, or they need the help of a plumber, they should be thinking, oh, of course we're going to call that guy. You have to be first in mind, and to do that, you have to be omnipresent on their mind, and you have multiple ways to do that. Maybe you can go back to the first episode on Marketing Commandos, or the second one, where I talked about how to create massive amount of content. That's a way to be omnipresent. Quantity, making sure they see you everywhere again and again. That's a way to be omnipresent in their mind. And maybe they don't think about you all the time, but in their conscience, it stays. And whenever they need your help, they think about you. So always be omnipresent.